Ciao a tutti, mi chiamo Guglielmo Giugioli, sono un imprenditore e sono qui in California a fare il visiting del mio PhD, il dottorato di ricerca a Berkeley e Stanford. Nel nostro viaggio parleremo di strade poco battute, di strade non prese, a iniziare da quella mia, quando scrivo un'email al professor Lyons per fare il visiting del PhD qui a Berkeley. Il professor Lyons è il capo dell'imprenditorialità e dell'innovazione del campus e chi meglio di lui può raccontarci di queste strade. So Rich, what are your roads not taken?
Well, roads not taken in the sense that sort of I took the path less traveled by, right? I think that's the fundamental element of your series and idea. So I'll start with one. I think the way U.S. universities, certainly Berkeley, right? I think when people show initiative, we reward it when we can. And so I'll start with the story of you reaching out to me, which came out of the blue and in email. We don't often get graduate students and visiting scholars that come in with the kind of initiative that you showed, but your email suggested that you were and are a serious scholar doing work that's obviously of great interest to me.
Thanks for that.
Sure. So that was a road not taken. A couple of other things that come to mind for me. I mean, one is I was a business major as an undergrad. I was at Berkeley. I'm at Berkeley now, as you know, and I was an undergraduate at Berkeley. I studied business. I come from a business family. Neither of my parents had a four-year college degree, but I got so excited about the academic world that I went on and got a PhD in economics. So, undergraduate business major going on to a PhD in economics, that's a very rare thing. And it was the perfect path for me, but it was a path not often taken. And it was the right path for me. So that was one of the fundamental paths less taken. And I'll just give you one other quick example from Berkeley, because there's so much going on here that I think is distinctive and maybe a bit different than in Italy or Europe more generally. But I'll give you one concrete example. So here, we just launched something called the Research Infrastructure Commons. All right, so it's the Berkeley RIC, Research Infrastructure Commons. What's the idea? The idea is this. If we thought about the share economy, I'm an economist. If we thought about the share economy, it's sort of like, you own an automobile, you use it 1 or 2% of the time. We have Uber, we have Lyft, we have ways of utilizing assets better in that category that have developed over the last 10 or 15 years. We have Airbnb with the built environment and so forth. So the question is, how about research instruments at great research universities? What is the percentage capacity utilization of the research instruments and equipment at Berkeley? How about on a Sunday? So here's the idea. I'm going to pitch it to you. All right, here's my pitch, right? But a mobile app, I'm a startup. I don't need to even be in Berkeley. I need a mass spectrometer or a DNA sequencer. I can find out when they are available on a Sunday, for example. DocuSign, very simple, click-through contract, fee for service. I own all the IP. Gives me access to the instruments at Berkeley. We've built this platform.
From scratch.
From scratch. We think it's going to take off across America and across Europe and other places. It opens the boundaries of the university. Here's another way of saying it, right? AWS, right? If you thought about compute, nobody starts a company and goes out and buys a server anymore. They buy compute from AWS or Google or many of the other providers. This AWSizes the scientific instruments at UC Berkeley and makes them available to the startup community and the small business community. It's like, wow, accessible on a phone. That's, I think, a road not taken. And we think it's going to be an important road that others are going to start to take.
Do you have a particular advice for entrepreneurs? Or maybe wannabe entrepreneurs?
Well, there's so many different directions one could take that good question. Let me start with
something not taken again.
Okay, I think here's a sort of way of thinking that's not taken or not taken often enough. And it is this. When we think about in universities, like how many of our students, how many of our graduates should become founders, should become entrepreneurs, the way most people think about that word? And people would have a different answer to that question. But what percentage on it? 10% might come to mind for a lot of people. 15, 5, whatever. If you reframe the question and you ask, what percentage of our graduates would be served by thinking more entrepreneurially? People answer 90%, whatever. It changes the answer from 10 to 90%. So I think that's part of the advice, is that it's one thing to say, here's a founder, here's somebody who's already in that 10%, what advice would you give them? I want to give advice to the 90%, to the 100%, that you are better off thinking more entrepreneurially. How do you understand this toolkit called opportunity recognition that comes from entrepreneurship? How do you think about testing hypotheses in the practical world to see whether something will work, to see whether it's scalable, so-called lean methods of entrepreneurship? I want to speak to the 90%, and too often we speak to the 10%.
Rich, thank you very much.
My pleasure, thank you.
La prossima persona che intervistiamo è Alessandro Ratti, incontrato nel 2015 nel laboratorio di Berkeley. Oggi è invece il direttore della divisione di ingegneria elettronica in quello di Stanford. E con lui parliamo di ricerca, innovazione e imprenditorialità. 7 anni, se la memoria non mi inganna. Dopo 7 anni, ecco, sono proprio curioso ora di rivederti e di chiederti, secondo te, quali sono le strade non prese, quali sono le strade poco battute, ecco, che magari potrebbe prendere, perché no, l'Italia stessa?
Una di quelle più ovvie dal mio punto di vista è il fatto e la mia speranza che le aziende, le industrie italiane prendano ispirazione da quello che avviene con le aziende americane qua a Silicon Valley, di innovare e di essere dei leader dell'innovazione, anche in simbiosi con le università, ma se noi guardiamo i dottorati, soprattutto nel campo scientifico, tecnico, finiscono essenzialmente tantissimi a far parte di innovazione aziendale che risulta in prodotti che stanno cambiando il mondo.
Questo è molto interessante, perché molto spesso in Italia un PhD magari molto probabilmente ha difficoltà a trovare lavoro, e probabilmente l'unica strada percorribile per lui, che è quella più battuta, che è quella, la carriera accademica, è una carriera, ecco, molto, come sai, molto satura, difficile da percorrere. Però ecco, è bello vedere che qui, soprattutto in America, nella Bay Area, un PhD non è per forza una persona che affronta quella strada lì, quel percorso, ma ci sono tante altre strade poco battute, come fare, ecco, innovazione in un'azienda, o perché no, magari aprire anche una propria startup. Ecco, magari sono curioso di sapere, ecco, il tuo punto di vista anche da questa
assolutamente,
parte qui.
non solo quello è vero per i dottorandi e i neodottorati, ma ci sono tanti casi di professori che dal ruolo di professore all'università sono diventati direttore, Chief Technology Officer, Chief Information Officer in aziende anche grandi, perché appunto il livello di ricerca aziendale è in tanti casi paragonabile, se non più spinto di quello universitario. Per cui il messaggio vale sia per i giovani, che ovviamente con un dottorato hanno le porte aperte in tanti posti, che per quelli per i professori, insomma, quelli che hanno già fatto un particolare step nella carriera, dove chiaramente se uno ha un proprio interesse, una propria passione, in tanti casi è possibile andare a seguirla anche nel privato, e anche in tanti casi con la propria azienda, con la propria startup.
E magari probabilmente, ecco, quello che ho visto qua in America, che c'è un grande incoraggiamento, sponsorizzazione a percorrere quell'altra strada lì.
La cosa importante che in tanti casi, che credo sia profondamente diversa qua, è che c'è questo incoraggiamento al rischio, al fare l'azienda, perché non c'è poi una connotazione negativa nel caso del fallimento. Cioè, se l'azienda va male, qui si capisce benissimo che non è necessariamente per la mancanza di abilità di chi è partito, magari cambia il mercato. Magari un'azienda enorme viene fuori con un progetto che non si sapeva, che fa esattamente la cosa che stava partendo, quindi sono tanti casi. Ho visto amici che hanno avuto delle idee bellissime, ma sono partiti un po' troppo presto, il mercato non era pronto, e tempo che il mercato è maturato avevano perso finanziamenti, energie, cose del genere. Quindi la tolleranza al rischio fa parte del DNA e dell'ecosistema.
Che dire, Alessandro, già nel 2015 sei stato una grande fonte di ispirazione, ancora oggi, ecco, 2022, Ho apprezzato i consigli, speriamo ecco, che possano aiutare a pensare con una mentalità diversa e magari a far prendere ecco, queste strade poco battute.
Speriamo.
Grazie Alessandro.
Grazie a te.
L'ultima persona che incontriamo è Debra Summers, che si occupa del marketing e della comunicazione del campus e ci racconta più in profondità l'ecosistema di Berkeley. Tell me more about yourself and above all what are your roads not taken.
Thanks so much. I'm delighted to have you here. It's really a pleasure to talk about UC Berkeley and the role of my office, the Intellectual Property and Industry Research Alliance's office, and how we've helped to build structures that really support the innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem here. One that I'll start with is, it seems somewhat basic, but it's been incredibly important, is a website called Begin. It's the gateway to innovation here at UC Berkeley. We have so many programs that are going on across campus. We really needed a central location, a portal for people to find out about the different programs, to be able to link through to more information, to find out about events. So we built a website and you can find things, for example, if you need a space for your startup, you can find where to go through the portal. You can find an accelerator, an incubator program or the classes that you might need to get a little bit of education about where you want to go next. I'll talk a little bit more about my office.
Sure.
Too. The IPRA, for short, is actually made up of two different offices. We put together the Office of Technology Licensing that handles licensing agreements for our innovators, our inventors on campus. We paired it with Industry Alliance's office, which handles contracts between industry and academia.
So there is a strong connection.
Absolutely. It's unusual for a university to pair these two offices together, but it's really allowed us to work together cohesively with all the relationships between industry and campus. We help support many of the accelerators on campus, many of the programs, for example, like Skydeck. Skydeck is a huge, powerful supporter of our startups here on campus. And it took a lot of work to create the agreements, the contracts that would make it possible for that program to happen. Then we recently actually extended Skydeck into Europe, as you may know. In Milan, Italy, we started an arm of Skydeck. That also took a lot of work through the pairing of our offices with technology licensing and industry alliances to make the contracts happen. And there are a lot of examples across campus where we've been a huge support for creating services. And platforms, I guess, is part of the theme of what I wanted to talk about. Another platform that's come out of our office is the Equity Solutions Group. Equity Solutions Group supports all the ways that the university gathers equity on campus through our different incubators and through our licensing program. We support our founders, our inventors who want to start companies by taking equity in part and helping them to get off the ground when they don't have a lot of finances to put into their startups.
This is a huge road not taken.
That's something that we've done for quite a while to support our startups. And as they've grown, we created more of a structure around that more recently. And that's been an exciting thing to see grow. Another component of these platforms is the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Council. That's a convening body for the university where all of our innovation programs can get together and talk and share ideas and collaborate on our programs. So all of these things, just creating a structure that people can make use of as individuals, and also that the academic institution can support. It takes a village for sure. But it's something that is a lot of fun to be involved in.
Deborah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me.
E ora siamo giunti alla fine del nostro percorso. La lezione che ci portiamo a casa da Berkeley è che il mondo accademico e quello fuori possono interagire, che le strade poco battute possono essere prese. E come insegna Robert Frost, 2 strade trovai nel bosco e io scelsi quella meno battuta. E questo ha fatto tutta la differenza.